Hey y'all, I'm Eric. This is my 2011 Suzuki GSXR 750. You're watching Freedom Fab Rides, and make sure to stay put because in this episode we're tearing apart the rear end. Man, things are really starting to come together. So if you're watching that last episode, we got our front end put together. So we got our new forks on, all our handlebars on, we got our adjustable clip-ons, all our levers. So our front end is pretty much ready to go. As soon as I get our wheel bearings, we can put our front wheel on, start putting our brakes together, all that good stuff. But our back needs a little bit more work. So in this episode, I want to focus on, we need to remove the rear wheel because we already have our other one. We need to remove our rear wheel, start taking apart the drive system, so the front sprocket, the rear sprocket, take the chain off, break all that stuff loose. And then I want to pull the swing arm off, and we need to flip it over. And when the bike wrecked, see if we can get it to focus here. We had the guy had a swing arm spool slider somewhere, something like that, and it broke off the whole mounting tab over here. So I want to flip over the swing arm, grind that down, and then kind of make a new tab or a mount, and kind of clean up some of this road rash here on the side of the swing arm. So we'll clean that up, throw a fresh coat of paint on there, and then start putting everything back together. So we're gonna go ahead and get our engine hoist back out, pull the rear end of the bike off, and start working. The wheel is off. So it was pretty easy taking the rear wheel off. You just got to pull the axle nut off. One thing I wanted to show real bit quick is how bad that bend in the rim actually was. So I'm glad I went ahead and bought that other wheel and had that prepped versus trying to fix this one, because it's, when it comes down to safety, that's just something you don't really want to compromise on. So for this wheel, I'm not going to be using the wheel, not going to be using the tire, but I am going to take the brake rotor. It's still in pretty good shape, so I'm going to take that off. And then I'm going to take the drive system off of this side and use that as well. Again, we have new sprockets coming, so we don't have to worry about that. But I'm going to take that drive and cush system from inside there and use it on the new wheel. So over here, the next step I need to do is cut the chain off. So we're going to cut some of the links out, pull the chain out, get that out of the way. Over here, I already took the rear brake caliper off. And I disconnected the brake line. That way there's nothing else holding us up from taking the swing arm off. And I've never taken the swing arm off a bike before, but I believe we just have a mounting bolt up here and a mounting bolt down there for the shock. And I think if we just undo the one mounting bolt down in here, we should be pretty good. And then just the swing arm pivot nut, and pull that axle out, or pull that bolt pin, whatever it might be. So I think we're gonna give that a shot and see if it works, and hopefully it won't be too hard. And I guess we'll find out one way or another. So we ran into a small issue. I did completely space my mind. I mean, looking online, I had seen this part, but I think you need a special nut remover tool. So there's this nut around this pin. So you need to hold that and undo this this nut that has little notches in it in order to take that swing arm pivot out, and I don't have anything like that, and it's just going to take too long to make one myself. So I think I'm going to leave the swing arm on and just do the work as it is over here. I had tried making a little tool to undo that center part, but it just wasn't spinning, and something like that I don't want to mess up. So I'm just gonna jack the bike up a little bit more, lift it up, and then just start working on it right here. So things are going pretty smooth so far. I just wanted to give you a quick look at what we're doing here. So this is a side that is not broken. I touched up some little scratches, stuff like that, so that's why it's silver and not the black like it was from the factory. So you can see it sits flush with over here, and it's got this tab that comes out that your swing arm spool bolts into. On this side it was broken off and it left a nasty chunk, so we ground that whole thing smooth, and then I'm gonna weld on a little nub that goes right there, and I'll drill and tap that for the proper size. I think it's M8 by 1.25, something like that. And then also smooth out that other road rash shows over here. So everything's looking pretty good so far, nice and smooth. So we'll get to welding that out. I'm gonna drill and tap that first, and then throw that on here, and then weld it out and measure and make sure they're both the same. Okay, excuse the messy workbench, but we just got done making our little nub here that we're gonna weld on. So we just took a piece of aluminum stock, and then we drilled a pilot hole first, then drilled the actual hole, and then tapped that to our M8 by 1.25. And let's see if we can focus here. But it ended up turning out pretty good. The old spool that was on the other side of the bike is actually the same exact kind that we're going to be putting back on, just a different color, and that threads in there pretty nicely, so I'm pretty happy with how it's turning out so far. If you noticed, I didn't center the hole exactly perfect because now that I got it drilled and tapped, so it's slightly biased this way, and so I'm going to take this edge and grind a flat landing on there. That way I have some place to put that on the bike, and that way it'll be kind of nice and flush up there. So I'll grind this one down, round everything out and finish it out, and then we'll tack on the bike. My lungs, and if my mind work backwards just for a minute, I'd hold on to you before the memory's gone. I remember you, you lift my spirit, with you high is all I'm feeling. Remember how we felt alive. I remember you, you make me stronger, can't go without it much longer. Remember, remember, I remember you, you lift my spirit, with you high is all I'm feeling. Remember how we felt alive. I remember you, you make me stronger, can't go without it much longer. Remember, remember. We are all welded, and it's pretty secure on there now. So welded the front and back, and the one side. I didn't really bother with the back here just because it wasn't I mean, nobody's gonna see it, and it's already on there pretty well. So I'm gonna let this cool down nice and slow, just because the swing arm is gonna be a cast aluminum, and that's gonna be an extruded little nub. So I don't want to I want to prevent cracking as much as possible. So let it cool down nice and slow. I'm gonna put the welder away, then we can come back and grind that smooth, and kind of touch up the weld, and then we'll throw some paint on it. So as you can see, I smoothed out that weld, and then I put a couple coats of paint on it, and I'm not quite sure I like how everything's turning out, at least back here color wise. So the GSXRs have a really dark blue but not quite black colored frame, and you can really tell the difference between the two colors. Hopefully once the paint dries more, it'll kind of get that satin versus a gloss. But if I really don't like it, I'm sure I can paint over it or take the whole thing off and just spray the subframe black. But as for now, I just kind of followed the line for that chain adjuster notch, and it doesn't look too bad. I mean, the paint job looks really clean, but just the colors themselves look a little funny. So we'll see. Once we get the tire and wheel and everything else on there, it might not be that big of a deal. But as for now, it's kind of what it's gonna be. There's nothing else I can really do. I'm not even sure if they make paint that matches very closely to that, but it is what it is. It's the one thing so far that I'm kind of iffy, that I don't really like. But if I don't like it later, then I'll take it off and repaint it. So as for now, I'm going to let those dry, and then the one thing I have to do after is just run the tap back through that, because when we welded and ground that down, it kind of caught that edge. So I just want to run the tap through there one more time, and then those will be done, ready to go, and then we're just waiting on our wheels. They should be coming any, or the wheel bearings, and we can put the wheels on, and those should be here any hour now. And the next thing we can start going, I got to bolt the swing arm back to the perch, which I didn't, I took out because we were going to try to take the swing arm off, but we couldn't end up doing it. So gotta put that back in. It's like Christmas all over again. So FedEx guy just dropped off the package, and I just want to go over real quick what we have. We have a new cane and air filter. We have the driven front and rear sprockets along with a new chain. We have stainless steel braided brake lines, and these are plus 3 to the front, to accommodate those 3-inch risers. Got new grips, a bunch of just red cosmetic nuts for the rear sprockets, and then one for the front yoke, one for the rear axle, one for the swing arm nut. Got our wheel bearings front and rear, front windscreen hardware. We got end bars for our handlebars. These are the driven Racing TT rear sets, left and right. We got the Dyno Jet Power Commander 5, and then front and rear brake pads. And then I have one more separate order that should be coming today with our Two Brothers carbon exhaust. So that'll kind of be the rest of the parts need to get going. So I'll be busy the next few days putting the stuff together.
We lose ourselves in the spirit of things. We lose our sight when we put our trust in things of this material world, of things that fade away. Let me keep coming back, 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 keep coming back. Keep coming back, keep coming back, keep coming back, keep coming back, of things we know.
Alright, so since I got those parts yesterday, I kind of rushed before I had to go to work, and I finished putting our front end together up here, the handlebars. So I put our grips on, I put the end bars, I did our triple clamp nut up top here, and then the other side grip and end bar as well. So got that all put together, and that should be pretty complete. The only thing that we'll have to do later is when we put our head assembly on, we'll have to make sure that nothing contacts or hits or interferes with the nose or windscreen, anything like that. So after that, I moved on to, I got the wheels all dressed up, and so they have the brake rotor down there on the bottom, and then we have the new 520 sprocket up here, red sprocket nuts, new wheel bearings and wheel seals inside, and same for the front. We got both of our brake rotors on there with fresh bearings and fresh seals. So these guys are ready to go back on the bike, and I just got done swapping out the front sprockets. So if you guys probably saw in the video, I was I wasn't gonna be too picky, but I wanted to clean out most of the junk and grease that was in here from residual years of just grease flinging from the chain and whatnot. So cleaned that out pretty well, got that new sprocket nut on there, sprocket and nut on there, and I went ahead and took off the old rear sets to get them out of the way, just give us a little bit more room. So the shifter down here and then the rear set up here, and now we can focus on getting the new chain on there. I actually think I'm going to put the rear wheel on first, that way I can mock up with the rear sprocket as well. The wheel is on there. So after a little bit of struggling, it's always a pain in the ass to try to line everything up. So you gotta line up your axle and your wheel and all your bearings, and then try to slip your brake caliper and mount in there at the same time, and then slip it through the other side. So I've always kind of struggled with that. So it's just kind of been a game of patience and lining it up and wiggling it around, and yeah, so it is what it is, but it's on there now. We got away with not dinging or damaging anything, so it's looking pretty good, and I'm pretty excited to get everything together. So I'm liking how the neon's turning out already. It's pretty out there, which is what I was kind of going for. So we got our fresh brake pads in, we got our little fancy axle nut on there, so that's on there. Everything is good to go. Once we get the chain on, then we'll put our stainless steel brake lines as well, so that's why nothing's going to the caliper right now. So we will keep going with our chain.
Spirit of things, we lose our sight when we put our trust in things of this material world. If things that fade away, yet we keep coming back, 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 keep coming back.
Chain is in, chain is rolling smoothly. Just a few tips for if you're doing your chain for the first time, swapping it out. I would definitely use a rivet style versus a clip, because the clips tend to come off, especially on sport bikes, or actually any type of bike. I've seen it happen on dirt bikes and off-roaders, stuff like that too. So I definitely use a rivet style. You can kind of see here that you have to mushroom out these two rivets here once you get the master link in, and then if it's your first time, I would recommend buying an extra master link, maybe two. I know on my other GSXR, when I started, or when I did my first chain, I messed up the first one or two of them just because I kept over tightening them and I wasn't realizing it. So when you're going, just do really small increments and check it often. That way it's not gonna kink, and it's gonna be it won't over tighten and pinch those seals in there. So it's right where it needs to be, nice and tight. I'm not worried about it coming off. So chain is all done. I'm gonna go ahead and put this plate back on, button that up, and then get the front wheel situated, because before we can tension the chain, the bike needs to be under its own weight, or actually with somebody on it. So technically I'm supposed to be on it while I adjust it, so I'm gonna just put a little bit more slack in it when I do.
We are reaching for the stars, but we're making this too hard, and I wonder where you are, mysterious. That's the part you always show, 'cause you're too curious. Maybe you should take it slow, mysterious. That's the part you always show, 'cause you're too curious. Maybe you should take it slow. We're dreaming in the dark. We are nothing more than dust. You search but you stay lost. We're reaching for the stars, but we're making this too hard, and I wonder where you are, mysterious. That's the part you always show, 'cause you're too curious. Maybe you should take it slow, mysterious. That's the part you always show, 'cause you're too curious. Maybe you should take it slow.
So we got a lot done. So the last clip I was showing you guys about the chain. So the chain is on now, chain is all tensioned. We put the bike down on the ground and set it accordingly. So we've got about an inch of slack, which is exactly where we want it per Suzuki's specifications. So everything's tightened down, the axle's tightened down, the axle nut on the other side, new fancy red and shiny. We also got our stainless steel brake lines on the rear, got our new brake pads in, everything buttoned up in the back. So once I get the rear sets on, technically it should be able to run and drive. We got our front wheel on, in, axle tightened down. We got our brake calipers on with new pads in those as well. The brake pads, I went with the Vestra RJL or something like that. Something along those lines. I've had good luck with them in the past, so went with those. And then we also got stainless steel brake lines up to the master cylinder as well in the front. So I have not tightened these ones down yet, just because I'm not quite sure yet if I'm gonna have to readjust everything on the handlebars in order to accommodate that front head unit. So I'm gonna wait to tighten all the front brake lines down and bleed those until I have the front nose on, because I have a feeling I'm gonna have to readjust everything just to be able to clear everything up front. So gonna hold off on those, and today I want to get the rear sets on both sides, and then not quite sure after that. So I know I want to try to do exhaust this weekend as well. Today's Friday, I still have to work tonight, so maybe I'll do exhaust tomorrow, but today I want to definitely get the rear sets on, then maybe start putting together some of the body work on the back over here, get a tail light and license plate bracket and Z-cowl, little stuff like that all buttoned up. That way the rear end is pretty much done, and we can kind of just work our way forward and get our front end done. We are going to have to wait for the side fairings to put on, just because my the frame sliders were back ordered and they didn't tell me. So I have to wait on those in order to put the fairings on, because we have to cut holes in the fairings to put those in, and the frame sliders are also engine mount bolts, so we kind of need those. Besides that, we will kind of just get started working our way forward from the back.
Rising with each beat of the music is bringing little flames in the fire that keeps burning. We're inviting the night in. Welcome, my heart so full, I'm devoting myself to the night. There's no motive, we're just listening, we're existing.
Rear sets are on and they look good. So I have them adjusted where I think I like them so far, just sitting on the bike. Of course, I haven't ridden anything, so I might end up kind of adjusting things a little bit more later, but so far this is about where I think I want them. So really easy to install, just a little bit of kind of taking off, adjusting, putting back on, taking it back off, a little back and forth just to get it to where you want it. But overall, super happy with this side so far. They look really nice, kind of tie everything together, just real nice clean look. So left side is done, and we will start working on the right side. Alright, so the right side is done now. Again, everything is pretty smooth and went together pretty well. Easy install. Not quite sure how I want everything set up yet until I actually ride the bike, so for right now I just kind of mirrored the other side for foot peg position, and I have it on the center position hole over here. There's a hole right here, hole in the middle, and then a hole over here. So just kind of mirrored the other side. It feels okay, but I won't know until I actually ride the bike. The other thing that we'll have to do a little bit later is I'm going to do when we install the power commander, because we have some other wiring to do underneath the gas tank. But with aftermarket rear sets, there's no provision for the factory rear brake light switch, and so they include this pressure driven brake light switch, which replaces your typical banjo bolt, and then when it sees a higher pressure, it activates the switch. So when we do the other wiring, we'll wire this in as well, just connect it up underneath the tank, and then we'll still have our brake light switch.
Wherever love goes, there is also misery. It's no mystery. And you and I, we got history, yeah. Wherever love flows, there is also tragedy when we're in too deep. And you and I, we got history, yeah. Go look in the mirror, say, hey, I'm sorry for all the pain. I'm sorry for all the pain. Go look in the mirror, say, hey, I'm sorry for all the pain. I'm sorry for all the pain. Go look in the mirror, say, hey, I'm sorry for all the pain. I'm sorry for all the pain.
Alright guys, so that's going to be it for today. So we got our left hand rear sets on, so everything's shifting nice and smooth. We got our right hand rear sets on, everything's nice and smooth. We got our rear master cylinder connected and everything, but we still have to do that pressure switch for our brake light. Got a little bit of smoke coming here because I accidentally dripped brake fluid onto the exhaust, so don't pay attention to any of that. And then we got our rear section all together. So as you can see, our blinkers or hazards work, our brake light is on, and then that activates with the front brake switch, and then everything fits together pretty well. I'm gonna be honest, sometimes I got these fairings off of eBay, sometimes they don't fit the best, and these fit really well, except for there's a couple little spots right in between the blinker. If you can kind of see without the light, you can kind of peel that back. There's just a little bit of gap right there, and unless you're really like being nitpicky, you're not going to be able to tell. But I noticed because I put everything together. I had ran into one issue where trying to mount our license plate bracket. I didn't like the angles it was at, and so I was trying to bend it back, and that's cheap Chinese aluminum for you. So that it just bent and broke right in half when I tried to bend it. So took the light off, and I'm gonna go ahead and strip some of this coating off, and then I'll weld it at the angle that I want it to and bolt it back on, and then weld it up, clean it up, and then I'll respray it black and then bolt it on at the correct angle with the light. And that's what this little wire coming out here is for our license plate light. So I tested that works as well. We're still good on our engine cases, nothing's leaking, and then our front will just kind of keep moving forward. So I want to get exhaust done in the next video and then start moving on to getting our head unit together. So I think that's going to be it for today. Alright, well that's going to be it for this episode. Sorry if it's going to be a little bit long, but we did get a lot done these last few days. So we got our wheels on, we got our chain and sprocket and drive, all that stuff put together. We got a tension, we got our rear sets on, the left and the right. We got our whole tail section on, which I'm pretty stoked about. All our blinkers and tail lights work. The only issue that we had was our little license plate bracket that we got to put back together. Then we got our front wheel on, we got our front brakes on, we got fresh brake pads all around, we got all of our brake lines on. When we started, that bike was hanging on an engine stand, and now it's almost rideable. The only thing that would be preventing us from riding is I haven't bled the brakes yet, but other than that, everything is good to go. So tomorrow morning in the next episode, I want to try to get the exhaust on. So we got our two brothers carbon black series, something over that, over in the corner, so we want to get that put on, and then just start working our way forward. And I want to get that head unit on along with our headlight. That way we can really see if those handlebars are going to clear and what we need to adjust. And then other than that, it's just going to be waiting on these frame sliders that we can put our side fairings on, and we should be pretty dang close to being all done. So I'm super excited, super stoked, and I hope you guys are too. I hope you guys are liking the videos, and give me some feedback, give me some comments. What do you guys like? What do you guys not like? What should I be doing different? I'm just doing kind of my own thing and recording it in process. So let me know what you guys think, and just keep watching and be sure to like and subscribe. That means a lot to me.